I will say when I was considering who to have myself drawn as,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
other character would have been from this show, but I decided that he wasn't high ranked enough, so I went with this uniform. There's that guy. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS Team. Second episode. Normally we would go over comments, but I don't really have that many comments to go over today. So I guess we'll start off with the board. So yeah, obviously I added the characters from the last episode of Gravity Front, as well as the characters from the first episode of 8th MS Team. Even though it seems fairly clear that the 8th MS Team is the three characters that we saw at the start of the episode on Earth, and the characters on the ship are going to go there and join them, it hasn't happened yet, so I have not reflected it onto the board yet. And so I instead connected those characters to the characters on the ship.
However, briefly, I don't know if these guys are going to be still. I know it says that Terry Sanders will be joining the MS team, as well as Michelle. I don't know about these.
Well, I mean, even if we hadn't watched the show before, we would know that, because literally at the end of the episode, Terry got his orders. And he has that whole thing about, oh, maybe my bad luck will change. So that's why I said we already know that those three characters will join the 8th team. Very confusing, actually, because when we see the other three characters that are already part of the team back on Earth, they are in a dock that just launched the 4th team. Because in that beginning segment, they talk about the 4th team and the 7th team, where they don't talk. Yeah. Sorry. Well, one team talks about the other team being a bunch of... And, yeah. But they are launching from a hangar, and they're saying that's the 4th team, but Karen is in that hangar, and she's in the 8th team, so why is she there? Why is Jean there?
I think they're sharing facilities, basically. It's just one big base.
Except that those hangars aren't big enough to hold a number of whatever they are. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say mobile suits. I meant to say the actual thing, but I, in fact, don't know. Because they haven't been introduced to us yet.
Well, yeah. We have these guys that we never get their names, so there's that. We have a captain who also doesn't get a name, but
I had labeled him as Sanders for some reason. I was like, oh wait, no, that's Terry's name. Well, because I think he's there in the conversation with Terry when his thing is first being repaired. I could have sworn Terry calls the other guy Sanders. Like, it's not impossible that this guy's first name is Sanders and he has like a different middle name than Terry.
Yeah.
Or last name, rather. But it's like, that's probably not what happened. So.
Terry Sanders Jr. could be Terry Sanders Sr.
I doubt
it. Happens to. I just, hey, Dad, remember when you abandoned my mom at age 5? You son of a bitch. Oh, there you go.
Goddamn pocket full of coffee beans. All right, well, obviously we have notes. I think I'll go ahead and go first. I want to go on record as having changed my opinion about the 3rd episode of Gravity Front. The actual Odessa battle stuff was pretty good. The extra character-driven stuff around it was mostly not. Like, the Zeon Death God stuff, it doesn't pay off here. The double agent mistaken revenge story was good, but it really could have been served by being developed more. Like, imagine if instead of following this Death God thing around in the last 2 episodes, and having Kolmata being the connective tissue across all 3 episodes, we had followed Nazon instead across the European front. We'd still be able to meet Bayberry and Yandel in that time, but we could have also fleshed out Nazon and her connection to the double agent, give it a real emotional kick at the end of the 3rd episode. The same way I felt for Cadillac and May at the end of Apocalypse 79, but for having had their relation develop over time.
Yep, I agree. I think I suggested something similar. I don't know, not necessarily focus on her, but at least focus on one of the characters and then carry it over with 3 episodes. And either they die at the end or whatever happens to them, right? They could have killed them off at the end, but
I mean, she is the May of the Federation arc.
Yeah. I think she, because of the betrayal storyline, I think she would have died anyway, right? Because that was the whole thing, that she believed that he betrayed them, and she paid the price for that supposed betrayal.
I don't know why you're arguing about if she would die or not. Obviously, she would die. It was the story arc.
Yeah. But, it's...
I'm not arguing that May and Cadillac survived. I'm arguing that they got developed over an arc.
Yeah.
Nobody in this Gravity Front got developed. They were... They developed in the same way that Twilight Zone develops characters, which is to say, here's a relatable person. That's instantly going to give you an in with them. And it's like, no, that's not enough for me. I need more.
So, onto my first note, I guess.
It's usually the way we do this back and forth thing. Welcome to the show.
Well, apologies for not having full notes this time, but I did my best. Real life got in the way. My first note on episode 1, War for Two. Love that this show keeps the tradition of lighthearted sounding theme music over very serious visuals. Ain't it cool we have all these giant robots? Now, yes, there's some goofy things in the intro as well, people talking to each other and people sleeping, whatever. But the idea is that, this is war. You have tanks and people shooting at each other and destroyed mechanisms. But like the music, like, oh, well, this is gonna be great.
I assume you're talking about the opening.
Yeah, the opening. Yeah.
But for me, it's like the thing that is the opening is repulsive to me because I hate cigarette butts.
Oh, okay.
They're fucking all over the place, and yeah,
they're gonna be here a little bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not focused on the big giant robots or even the happy-go-lucky music. It's like, it's a tin can full.
As a former smoker, they were never good to begin with. So I wish I had been disgusted by them, and I wouldn't be a former smoker.
All right, that was your note?
Yeah, that was my note.
Fun little timeline note. The first episode of 8th MS Team happens during episode 12 of OG Gundam. Obvious from the Giran speech. This is also indicated to us when the Europe Defiance campaign began from the last episode of MS Igloo 2 Gravity Front. So while Shiro and Aina are floating around in orbit, Ramba is attacking the White Base for the first time, and Revel is starting operations to push Zeon back all across Europe.
Go Federation.
Boo.
Man, well, the victors go to spoil. Although I do have a note about
There is no victor. Well. It's an armistice.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be that's the message, isn't it? There's no victors in war.
In a very short sequence, we get introduced to all the meaningful characters of the team through an excellent example of Show Don't Tell, as well as the attitude of the Federation soldiers in this area. We are also told that this unit lost their commander and why. Like in a very short conversation, we get introductions. We get the
Karen drove him crazy. Literally, I almost wrote a note about it because I thought it was not noteworthy. The implication that she also threw a wrench at a guy who was listening to music. Here's her heavy metal. Karen's a bitch.
Oh, he's supposed to be a soldier and pay attention what the hell he's talking about. It's like, it's like, pay attention. Motherfucker. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. I've learned that lesson. I think we all did.
Yeah. Well, but I have to edit that out. It's a little too loud.
Yeah, I'll assure you, I will not remember. We'll just pretend you farted. That's all. Anyway, for half a second, I thought maybe all of your notes were going to be from the opening. Like, literally, all your notes are about the opening segment. I was writing it down just before we get started. Because you're like, in a very short segment, we get to learn about all the characters that are on the show. It's like, is he talking about the opening bit where we saw them all in the opening song? Because his last note was about the opening the song was Happy Go Lucky. And it's like now the visuals. It's like 5 notes just about the opening.
No, it's a very good opening.
I mean, obviously I remember it, so I guess being memorable is an indication towards being good.
Mhm.
I know I brought up the fact about Shiro's personality, that he doesn't harp about Side 2, but also something I noticed is that he mentions Side 2 in the present tense. It doesn't look anything like it does from Side 2. I would have thought that if Side 2 were destroyed, he would use the past tense of words, like looked and did. Then again, he laments about not repeating what happened at Side 2. But that could also just be in reference to all the fighting that went on there, where they failed to defend it. I suppose it's possible that the list of destroyed sides didn't indicate complete destruction. Side 5 was listed as destroyed while Texas was still around with a small population in it. It could be that Side 2 was listed as destroyed due to what was done to Island Ifish and a few other Banshee, while some inhabitable Banshee remained, and Shiro could have been from one of those.
I mean, he could have been be training and in combat somewhere else when what happened when Island Ifish happened, right?
Well, Island Ifish happened in January. I'm talking about the fact that he's using present tense words. But again, that's so easily explainable. That's why I gave so many examples of why he could be doing that. I mean, he could also just be like pushing it back.
My next note then. Amada is a go-getter for sure, also a bit too eager to risk everything. Perhaps that what happened to Side 2 is the reason he wants to defeat Sion so badly. And when someone born in space, he doesn't see the Earth with disdain, but with awe.
Disagree.
In which part?
The desire that you're indicating that he has to get rid of Xion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There is I didn't write a note about it. At least I don't think I did. If I did, I'm talking about a thing I'm going to read later. An element about how he's like, oh, we're going to push the Zeeks off of Earth and everything like that. And then he's kind of with the other guys that are talking about how they're going to kill all the Zeeks and everything like that. But then he's very much not about that later.
Yeah.
He's very much not like in the camp of we're going to kill all those goddamn Zeons. But he is very much in the realm of we're going to put them back where they need to be. So I don't agree with you on his personality, his energy towards this.
I mean, he was very willing to go out there and save this pilot and fight.
That's different. Again, this is what I said during the reaction, is that it's indicating to us that he has a hero personality, not a soldier personality, which would be, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to kill that other guy, not rescue the guy who needs help. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to save this guy because nobody else can.
Well, to the next point then.
I wonder where the misogyny is coming from in these shows. Kolmata goes out of his way to talk down to Nazon specifically for being a female commander. Shiro is also shocked, for no reason, that the Zaku pilot is a woman. I have to think that internal conceit about her being a woman is why he treated her differently. Considering all his talk about taking out Zeeks on the ship before this encounter, while not itself a hostile version of sexism, it is still sexism to treat someone differently for that reason.
I mean, the Navigator's a woman as well, so...
Yeah, but she's not in command, right? That's the indication, right? Women are fine, so long as they're just talking. Remember Suletta? Not Suletta, sorry, I'm thinking of Witch from Mercury. You remember, God, why is her name not coming to me? I can see her so clearly in my face. Char's brother. Sister. Char's sister.
Oh, yeah.
Sayla. Sayla.
You
remember Amuro talking to Sayla, like, oh, maybe I should get her advice. Nah, she's a woman. Yeah, she's fine talking to me over the comm system. Mm-hmm. No way I'm going to put her in charge of fighting. So that's what.
But then he later.
That's not my point. That's not my point. Back then, that's the way he thought.
Yeah, true.
And that's what we keep getting. Kolmata, female a female commander, I'll shoot you guys in the back if you go running away, as though that's what he expects from her. How can a woman be piloting that zaku from Shiro here? It's like, where's this fucking coming from? And again, my point is that he's treating her differently because she's a woman. I believe there's sexism inherent here. He would not have hesitated to shoot a man had a man come out of that zaku.
Yeah. To my next point then. I'm running out of them. Following my third point, which begs the question, did the Earth Federation focus their abuse on Zeon, and why? Because they were the only ones talking about independence? If that's the case, then the war really was, again, like we needed more proof of this, but I wanted to point it out, the Fed's own making, one of the Fed's own making in more ways than one.
I'm confused by the note because we watched Origin.
Yeah, I know, but
the
thing is, the fact that we have people like Chin, like Amada, let's go Amada, Shiro Amada, who are members of the Federation, already had combat. He's clearly from side 2. Like, oh yeah, I want to get rid of the Sikhs, right? To me, because usually when you have patterns of discrimination, if it's sort of the space noise versus earth noise kind of thing, that Federation's dominated by earth noids, right? They're people from Earth, and it's like, oh, these people in the colonies.
Hate sided with the Earth Federation, though. That's the thing.
Huh?
Hate sided with the Earth Federation from the get-go. That's why he's from there. So
yeah, but the thing,
and then we saw that in the streets.
I haven't finished yet.
I feel like you've got to stretch to make this a question because we saw everything. No. We know everyone's perspective.
Oh, damn it. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say here is that the Federation attitude to the colonies is not seemingly widespread. Otherwise, more colonies would have joined with Zeon. That's what I'm trying to say.
Again, I'm not saying that you're saying anything. I'm saying that your question doesn't make sense to me as a question because we watched Origin, so we know the people's opinions. We saw what was going on in and around the Banshai in Side 2. We saw the people's opinions. We saw them pushing Zeon, pro-Zeon people out of the streets. Sayla had to leave to go to Side 7 because of that public opinion. Like, we know what was going on in the sides. So the question is just so, did you forget what was written in the history books? It's like, I don't understand where it comes into the question.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's what I tried to say earlier. When you have patterns of discrimination, it doesn't really make sense that they would only discriminate against Zeon, right? Which then, the only thing that makes Zeon stand out from everyone else would be that they were talking about independence, and that automatically marked them. So usually there's other reasons for it.
I've interrupted you so many times. I'm really trying to stop right at this point. They weren't only alienating Zeon. They were alienating everybody. Do you not remember why are we being trained to fight this way? It seems like we're being trained to only fight in colonies. Because they were suppressing everybody. Zeon is just the first one to stand up. Everybody was being treated this way. Nobody else wanted to fight, though.
I do believe that you would have had more sympathy once Zeon stood up for them.
Some people did side with Zeon, yes. Some sympathy was shown. However, Zeon went to fucking extremes, which then pushed people away from their sympathies. So, that's why you had people like Inside 2, who was like, fuck no, look what Zeon's doing. They'll kill us along with everybody else.
So, again, Operation...
I guess for me, I'm not trying to shit all over your note. I'm just saying that for me, it seems so obvious. It's like, if somebody came into the room and said, but why is 2 + 2? Did anybody ever really think about that? I'd be like, what the fuck is going on in here?
I think the problem is that
We
when
watched
you dig
6
in,
hours of backstory. I'm like, well, you were here, right?
okay. The problem is that here's the thing: you had sides. I guess you gave me the answer. Xeon went too far, and that's why it created a situation. Had they not literally killed the entire populations of, or attacked any side that they thought, was not, roaring to be with them, then, they could have had more people support, right? They could have had more popular support. And that meant they could have more resources too, as well. More people, more everything. But they didn't.
There's only 3 sides specifically we know, so far anyway, that did anything specific at the start of the war. Obviously, Side 3 declares war. Side 2 declares it's on the Earth Federation side immediately. And then Side 6 declares neutrality. Now, they were segments, I believe I talked about this during Origin, where in the background of Amuro in his room, the news is going on, declaring what the other sides are up to, but they're not neutral, but they haven't declared a side yet or anything like that. So, those are the 3. We know what we're doing in this war. So, obviously, hostile, neutral, other side.
Yeah. But I think he could have gone, considering the amount of sides that get destroyed in the fighting.
That's the confusion bit. That's why I just brought up in my previous comment of we know that Side 2 is destroyed based on a visual that we got during one of the episodes that I wrote a whole note section about. Like, I still have it in, like, under my... It's not in my active note section. I put it down, like, right above my timeline so I could keep track of information we learn about the sides. That it was listed as destroyed, and that's why I'm questioning, why is he talking about it in the present tense if it's destroyed? And to that element, I've already forgotten what episode we saw that graphic in. So it might be that Side 2 isn't destroyed yet. I don't know. Seems to me that it should be, though. It's October by the start of this. Yeah. So, as I denoted, that Revel is currently in his European offensive.
We only see Xeon forces attacking other sides. I know the Rambo Round led an attack on one side.
Side 2.
Then there was the island Side 2, which and got destroyed. At least one of the Banshee got destroyed.
That's Island Iffish. No, I mean that's Island Iffish. That's right.
No. There
during
were 2
Origin,
attacks. Island Fishes was a second attack because remembering Origins, that's what Dulce calls out Rambo Rao as a hypocrite.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You destroyed this phone.
That's what I am saying is that what you're talking about is the Origin episode where we see a side being attacked, and that's when Ramba comes to Dr. Dozel about this evil thing that you're planning to do, because that's them defeating the last of Hot Day's defenses in space. And he's like, I wish I would not even be part of this. So yeah, I'm saying it's Island Iffish because that's the thing I can label it as, and everyone's going to understand what I'm talking about. I'm not saying specifically he was involved in the destruction of Island Iffish. Obviously, no, he wasn't, because he backs out at that time. But that's the Side 2 attack.
Yeah. So at least when it goes to Side 2, it was all Xeon. We don't know who then destroyed the other ones, though. Was it caught in a crossfire? Was it Federation preempting them to make sure they didn't fall on Xeon's side? Was it Xeon doing the same, trying to force them on their side?
I mean, it seems unlikely that Side 5 was destroyed by Xeon. Side 5 is the closest to 3. And remember, that was the whole point. We move there, we'll be under Xeon's purview. They won't think we're a threat anymore. So if they're that close, it seems unlikely that, one, they're going to side against Xeon, because I think we've stated this a number of times with other... I can't remember if it's other shows or it's been in this show. No, it was Seed. The element in Seed where they talk about how the Earth Federation is their closest neighbor. So they wouldn't want to piss them off versus pissing off Zaft, right? And I'm like, well, Carpatera base isn't actually that far away from you. In fact, it's closer to you than North America is, which is where most of the Earth Federation stuff comes from. So... in the what's closer to me aspect, doesn't really make a lot of sense there. But in here, Side 5 is closest to Side 3 than anything else. So possibly, or more probably, they may have been a front line in any attack to get to the Zeon homeland. Maybe that's how they went down. Or maybe they just had nothing to begin with. Who the hell knows? Literally,
Anyway.
I've showed you before. I've got my little panel of Side 1, Side 1's destruction. It becomes the location of Solomon, HQ of Space Attack Force. Solomon then destroyed by the Tiananmen Fleet. Side 2, Hate, sided with the Federation at the start of the war. Side 3, Munzo, Zeon, has also the Dark Site testing Vanchi. And Mahal, closed cylinder converted to the Solar Ray. Side 4, Ruins seen near Side 1, Solomon attack. Side 5, Loom, Texas colony. Texas itself remains, but the environment has been ruined, uninhabited. Side 6, Riha declared neutrality at the start of the war. And Side 7, Noah, not listed as destroyed. Last seen with a giant hole in it, completely evacuated. And I kept the little status symbols, the X's, the exclamation marks, and a question mark.
Okay, well, then to next point then.
Michael is doing just about everything he can to isolate himself from everyone. Everything he says is defeatist and condescending.
Yeah, he clearly doesn't want to be there.
That's why
to BB, who I don't know who BB is. Could be his mother, could be his best friend, could be a girlfriend.
I assume girlfriend.
Yeah, it's like, I'll be here. I want to get out of here. I want to be back with you wherever that may be.
I thought about putting a little like blue square thing that I do with other characters that aren't visually shown but referenced. Thought about putting them on the board. But otherwise, that's why I have him with a white line to everybody. He's just like, he's not, I don't know, he gets along with the other unnamed characters on the ship, but any named character he has interaction with, he's either condescending or just not like, doesn't get the vibe, it seems.
Yeah. Okay, let me see my next note then. Having the main character go out in a ball shows that the combat in this era is not merely about who has the better machine, but also the better pilots. Something that gets lost in the mecha shows, in general, and in Gundam in particular, due to the need to sell more and more toys.
You say
here's
that.
a goal.
Aliacta Est is the very first thing I think about. It doesn't matter who has the most powerful Gundam. It's all about skill and desire. Sorry, Aliacta Est is something that at least comes in twice, 2 different Gundam properties. I mainly know it for the Witch from Mercury, where it's the thing that you say right before you begin a Gundam duel.
Let the die fall when they may. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
it's
but
I think Julius Caesar said when he crossed the Rubicon, supposedly.
Yeah.
The die is cast.
Well, it's just that it gets said twice in reference to this very specific thing, and I believe that during one of our reactions, I made a listing of all the times that it's come into play that Gundam, your ability to use a Gundam or a mobile suit isn't dependent on the strength of the suit, but of the pilot's will and skill and all this other stuff. I can't remember now exactly. I remember I had like 3 different listings for it, probably from 00, Witch Mercury, and God, it was probably OG Gundam. It got said. I can't remember who says it though, but very specifically, Witch from Mercury.
Rao sells
that's it. Yeah, it's Rambaral. He says very specifically in his like, it's not a Zaku thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a Zaku thing. But yeah, no, very, very specifically, since it's the first time I heard it was Witch from Mercury. That's the whole basis of their dueling thing. It doesn't matter what mobile suit you come in here with. It's about what you're capable of. I mean, I'm just saying that because your point seemed to be exactly the opposite of that.
Well, but also, here's the thing, though. A lot of the main characters end up having very powerful suits in the first place, which are top of the line or have a gimmick or something like that, and they can just obliterate everyone and everything they get across unless they meet another named character with an extremely powerful suit. And you yourself have said, well, this suit is like 4 times more powerful than everything else. It should win, right? You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the default. That's why when you do one of these, like a Gundam poll, right? And people ask, okay, is this the Gundam itself, or is this the Gundam with its pilot, right? Because people want to know, okay, is this Suletta in the aerial, or is this just random Gundam pilot in aerial? Because my opinion changes based on the pilot. If I say Kira in the Freedom, you're like, okay, well, that's the default, right? That's the most powerful combination of characters. But if I say Kira in the RX-78-2, I'm like, I don't know, can the RX-78-2 keep up with Kira? Like, he's a coordinator. He had to actually, because the RX-78-2 had to get modified to be able to keep up with Amuro. So yeah, there's these variable levels when it comes to characters versus the powerful machine. So they say, oh, this one's by default 4 times stronger. You're like, okay, well, by default, then it beats something that's weaker than it. And then you're like, okay, well, now it's the default Gundam pilot that's in there versus just, Joe Schmo. It's like, well, okay, well, that makes it a different debate then. Well, it's not like, say, Gundam Wing, where, like, Zex and Hero at some point, like, maybe we should switch. Let's switch. Let's see how we do in each other's Gundams. It's like, okay. Now we're indicating who's good based on character and not, well, mine's obviously stronger. Stronger for you, not for me. This thing fucking sucks. I can't help but think back to the Atlantic episode of OG Gundam when we first heard about the Xeon accent, and can't help but imagine Aina with some strange thick German accent rather than what we hear.
Yeah. Lots of the Japanese. And I don't think in the English they don't give her strong accent either.
Well, nobody refers to the Xeon accent ever again. It's just that one time, and you hear that guy with a thick German accent when we listen to it in English. The same way that, like, the Black Tri-Stars are apparently from Louisiana.
The ball had just enough plot armor to keep Amada alive. Because the ball takes a full charge of a gun that's supposed to take tanks, and in regular combat, we see them taking a single shot and being blown away. They're series, especially in 79. But here it gets riddled with hits. He survives just long enough to be able to tangle the zaku, get out, and then having it explode. So, just enough plot armor.
I think the thing I paid attention to more was the element that he shot the zaku in the head multiple times. Because I'm still having that debate of, did I make the thing up that zaku should be able to take blows to the head? Or is that just an element of it shows up a lot in Gundam Seed, and I'm just taking shit from Seed and applying it everywhere else?
Right, I've heard before. In fact, the Gundam itself, that was a whole thing. Because the last fight with the Gundam bit versus what was Char piloting? It was a mobile armor. The Gundam gets decapitated and still survives and keeps walking.
Well, Gundam's a special case. We're talking about, like, default zakus and everything.
But the mobile armor gets shot in the chest and doesn't get destroyed because actually the copy was in the head. So.
Right, but we're talking about, again, default suits, because it happens a lot. I think in Seed it happens more, because that might be why I keep saying this. The element that suits get their heads blown off, but they've got all this secondary visualization shit in them, so they can keep on doing shit. Mm-hmm. But it seems just like more and more lately in Universal Century Gundam, that you take a blow to the head and you're done. It's like, why? We've only established that the only thing up there is sensor tech.
No, but in this case, what destroyed both of them was the ball exploding, not.
I'm not referring to that. I'm just referring to the element that it kept shooting her in the head, and I just was, like, paying attention to that. I have no, I'm not debating anything about what happened to cause them. Like, obviously, they both had to abandon their shit because they were tied up with each other. Like, I don't think the Zaku was out of commission. I think they just had nothing left to do, and they were going to explode because one of them was.
Yeah.
I mean, I also think back to, once again, Witch from Mercury, where part of the Gundam, the mobile suit training course was literally get shot in the face by, no, sorry, that wasn't part of the course. They were just, mean girls were playing tricks on Suletta. They were shooting her in the face with, It blacked out. It blacked out the sensors, so she couldn't see.
Paintballs.
Well, it was like an electronic version of that. Like it activated on contact, but it wasn't itself. I don't know what. Either way, she had to basically go through the entire course blind with a navigator telling her how to move.
Okay, your next point.
It was pretty emotional, actually. I tried to figure out what Shiro was reading in the end credits as he tosses the book at the camera, and for a few frames, the text is legible. I know it is written in Japanese. Unfortunately, I can't translate. I can't translate enough of it to figure out if it is anything. Even if it was, it would have been. It would have to be a Gundam property, as the more easily seen words are Gundam, MS, cockpit. So I guess there's something at least that Shiro is reading a book that references the Gundam. Something that's only been operating for about a month since episode 1. Granted, we don't know how far into the war the credits are, though.
Well, there's a reason for that I remember, but I won't bring it back.
Well, again, just pointing out that I was trying to figure it out, and he's reading a book that's talking about the Gundam, but where we're at in the show, episode 1, is October. So literally, the Gundam just got on the white base a month ago.
There's something I noticed. You can tell this is shows from the 90s because among the debris that flew out when Amada, that's Shiro, opened the door was a CD. It's like, oh, this, which you wouldn't have seen in 79, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think I thought about it that much because I'm also watching Visions of Escaflowne. And literally the episode I watched just last week, she's walking through a bazaar and she stops like, there's a CD on the table. And I even made a specific note about how the fuck does this bazaar guy know to put it front down so that the player part doesn't get all scratched up. Because face in the sky and everything. It's like, because the first thing she does when she notices it is she puts it into her Discman and starts playing. And it's like, clearly he knew how to keep care of this thing that she's able to keep playing it. Like, it's not all scratched up for being in a fantasy setting.
Mm-hmm. Those were my notes. I guess they're all yours now.
No, that was my last note too.
Oh, okay.
I said I was going to mention this before, and I didn't during our whole thing. I find it pretty hard to take notes about 8th MS Team because I keep it so well in my head, like not memory wise, but like I'm so fond of it because I've always thought about it as like one of the best Gundam works that I've seen, and the only thing I can really do is now try to recontextualize everything I see based on the information I now have. Yeah. But that doesn't leave a lot of room for notes. Like, oh, cool. Now I know what that one word meant that I didn't know before. And it's like, well, what's the note for that? I now know what that one word meant that I didn't know before.
Anyway, that's it. Unless we have anything else.
No, I think that's it. So let's go ahead and hop on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, this is the 80s show. It's still that the song still has a very 80s feel to it.
I don't think so. I mean, it just feels like standard anime opening type music. Because, Gundam never really had a specific sound to it.
No.
But, I mean...
I do miss the fluidity of this animation that modern CGI-based animation doesn't seem to really have often enough.
I don't know. I don't have a problem. I mean,
I don't have a problem with modern animation just on the basis of CGI basis, but it is something that I want.
You don't, do you? God, I can't wait till I get to finish that Delta edit that I got in the back.
I do notice it, and I would prefer it to be something hand drawn because I know it can be done better. It's not like, oh my god, it's the end of the world. There's a difference between criticizing and think it's unacceptable.
Well, yeah, there is a difference because it's, I think, all opinion based. Because a lot of people will say, you'll say I'm criticizing, and other people say you're bitching. So again, it's all opinion based. See, he says it with a grimace on his face, and Shiro says it with like almost a smile. I can only assume he had that look on his face because she was a woman.
Yeah.
See? See? Trying to make himself look better, too.
Yeah.
Well, go figure. Where the fuck are you? He will, in fact, not.
Not, yeah.
Thankfully, it's just the names of the episodes that we don't get the thing for. Hideo Kojima. I'll be ready for some real scary shit.
The team killer?
Yeah, bad luck guy. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to put those two things together.
Somebody's delicious.
AKA the team killer.
He used the word jungle.
Well, it is jungle.
Yeah, I know, but he used the English word and not a Japanese word for it. I hope that's water.
Well, it's obviously not.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, like, unlike Amuro, who would just fly over and shoot you if he was in the area. Are they supposed to be general models?
No.
That's what I was confused about, but they haven't said it in the show. So I've been waiting for them to label them. Just finger in my hole. I will say when I was considering who to have myself drawn as, the other character would have been from this show, but I decided that he wasn't high ranked enough, so I went with this uniform. That guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even particularly like him as a character. I just thought he had a cool look. This place does look a lot like that one place that we saw in OG Gundam, where Matilda came to resupply them.
Yeah.
Also, there are a lot of people who have death wishes.
Yeah.
Or want to go out and blaze a glory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising that their uniforms are bright white.
Inside the Gundam, I don't think it matters.
No, I'm not even talking about that. It would cost more to make a bright white uniform than, say, a gray uniform or something like that.
Well, she's not bothering with the spacesuit.
No, neither did Char.
Yeah.
That was Char's whole point. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing when the suit gets blown up. I mean, at this point, it's more about the fact that the mobile suits are bright white, but then again, you're not really hiding yourself when you're stomping along in a multiple-ton vehicle.
I always like this part of the... even before I knew about Minovsky particles, I always liked this part. The fact that they use sound to track...
I mean, obviously, I didn't know anything about Minovsky particles when I watched this the first time. Hey, he's the only one wearing an outfit. I guess to indicate that he is that new.
Yeah. He's used to fighting in space, so...
I mean, conceivably, there would be people who would just be trying to get injured, too.
Yeah.
I want to get sent back home.
To keep you alive.
I go figure the one situation with the Zaku's glowing ass eye thing is not handy.
アマちゃんがザクを追ってる。あの彼がケツについたぞ。隊長より連絡。敵を追い込みつつ防衛拠点外に追い払うとのことです。なんてこった。えらいことですよこれは。軍曹に連絡だ。はい。
I like the eyepiece. Eyepiece? Is that what it's called?
I don't know what you're referring to. I didn't see any eyepiece.
The eye catch. The eye catch. It's the.
I thought you were about to say eye candy. I don't know what you're going
No.
for. Well, if you were hidden before, you're not now.
Well, we know that's a Gundam.
Say, people for me, like me in the audience. Well, that was my question when I first saw them because they got the V on their heads. It's like that's a Gundam thing. I'll say this element of the music or OST is very 80s. Because I could hear this happening in like an 80s sci-fi movie.
Oh, he's still hunting that Zaku.
Yeah, the idea of tracking mobile suits on the ground by like a seismograph.
Yeah, that's what. I guess that doesn't get affected by Minuski particles.
I mean, yeah, it's like sonar for a sub, right? Just listening in.
Yeah.
I recognize that. I wouldn't throw anything on the ground.
Well, he's inside the cockpit. I don't know.
Well, I imagine it's the Gundam is some sort of pedal operation system. You wouldn't want something to get stuck underneath one of the pedals and something you can't move when you need to move. And then you think to yourself, which countries have monkeys?
Oh, that's the watch she got from her.
Yeah. Still way too big. No way I'd be trying to hide that thing under my shirt. I'd be stabbed by the corners every time.
Yeah, that's gotta be this. Yep.
Yeah, we've all seen Stand By Me, I'm sure. Check down your pants next.
Man needs a shower.
And it was in episode 2 of the 8th MS team that Zeon got its hands on a Gundam. Oh, right, the part I'm gonna have to censor.
Don't drink that water, dude. Ugh.
Yeah. I drank out of streams as a kid.
Yeah, not all streams, especially tropical areas, are drinkable.
Well, I mean, the streams
Like
I drank from had oil coming down in them, so, I mean,
Yeah.
that's my excuse for how stupid I am today. How stupid I was
Like,
back then.
all the streams in Puerto Rico are contaminated. You cannot drink from them. All of them.
Again, I've just told you that the streams I was drinking in were contaminated too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the part you have to censor, the 12-year-old being naked in the water.
Don't list their ages. It's already bad enough. I don't need to know exactly how bad it is.
I don't know if he is that young, but she is young.
And yet not the visual I had to put up for
Yeah.
the Macross one.
テスト機を失ったそうだが、なぜそんな真似を？
成り行きですわ。それより、
私のアプサラスか。
ええ。
間もなくプロトタイプが完成する。
とうとう実現するのですね。お兄様の夢が。
いや、もはや夢ではない。あれを戦線に投入し、この戦局を一変する。
Yeah, he has Final Fantasy hair.
ギレンザビ閣下の演説を聞きました。私、お兄様のお力になりたい。
She still has an 80s hair, and he has Final Fantasy hair. So yeah.
お兄様、そろそろお薬の時間じゃなくて。
I don't remember what medicine he has to take.
またかよ。
I would suspect his medicine to make him not go insane, considering what I remember from the show.
いや、俺別に。
Being a pervert. Well, this seems fair.
Yeah.
連邦のパイロット。
Also, that's pretty stupid because you meet a civilian. There's no guarantee civilians are going to be friendly to you, especially in this situation.
I mean, at the same time, not very smart of her to shoot the gun, indicating to anybody in the area, one side or the other, you're there.
Yeah. That's our GM.
隊長の指示なしには動けません。
融通の利かないやつだな。
隊長には個人的な借りもあります。
正体潰しの死神サンダースか。
何？
あんたの戦歴見せてもらった。
I'm on your team, dumbass. Don't bring that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
好きさえあれば今頃士官にだって慣れてただろうが、今は私が上官だ。指示には従ってもらう。
しかし。
隊長が生き残れと言ったんだ。祈祷する。
Why'd you even ask me?
一撃だ。一撃で仕留めてやる。すごい。
That was a mistake.
Also, you can tap those for any color mana.
Apparently, they don't have effective AC in them, unlike the actual Gundam.
Well, remember, the actual Gundam is also adversely affected by heat. That's what we learned from the fight with the Adsum. Huh. Go figure, the first Gundam I saw was this model.
Fire.
Sorry, I said Gundam, I meant Zaku.
Apparently, it wasn't a power, no. Keep shooting, motherfucker. You have rounds.
I mean, or conversely, throw the axe.
That's a very inaccurate weapon, overall. Keep your wits about you, dude.
悲劇やこれより祈祷する
Yeah, I was just here. I don't care about strays.
よーカレンこれはたった一日かいじめすぎたんじゃねえのそれとも何かのたたりかビビ地球について間もないというのに俺初陣を飾ったよそりゃもう見せたかったくらいさでも
I wish I could have seen
I'm
me
also-
fighting.
Yeah.
体調がはぐれちゃったまま
I didn't remember that poster, but yeah.
っていうのは結構過酷で
I guess BB is his girlfriend. If those are his pictures, yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, this guy has very strong Luca sense to me, you know?
I mean, maybe. She also has the look of somebody who's on vacation.
Mhm.
So maybe just somebody he met once and is just writing letters.
驚きだよな空の時もこうでした
この運の強さにかけてみるか。
モビルスーツの性能に感謝するよ
He's asleep. Yeah, I remember he's asleep.
Well, we already established that the original Gundam could autopilot
Yeah.
its way somewhere. Don't know I'd be doing that with the cockpit open, though. You know, one sniper shot and boom.
Yeah.
Hell,
You know,
do that. Shoot him in the head. Coat the thing with your timed explosives, as we know you're fond to do, and let it just
Mhm.
march its way back into base and explode.
Yeah.
Conceivably, they could have done it when he was out of it.
Mhm.
He left it behind in enemy territory,
Yeah.
beyond their
Well,
defensive
contested.
lines.
Yeah. It's a contested territory.
That doesn't make it better. It
I
makes
mean, he
it
could have been
worse.
captured. Yeah. In fact, she could, if she had been taking a bath, she could have stolen the mobile suit for herself.
Well, I mean, we know she wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but
She's not pro Xeon.
Mm.
But I'm just saying, like, what if that Xeon guy who had been in that Zaku had chosen to
Yeah.
like, do some legwork, you know, found the Gundam.
Yeah.
This thing's in better shape than my fucked up thing.
yeah.
I'll take this back to the base. Hopefully don't get shot with a miscommunication, and boom. I'm out of the war. I'm already a hero.
Mm.
Send this thing up to McQueeve. He can reverse engineer this goddamn thing. Suddenly, Xeon's got a bunch of Gundams.
Mm.
次なる命令が下った丘陵地帯の村を占拠したジオン軍を排除せよと敵の統治下を破るために二手に分かれて攻撃することにしたしかし俺は不覚にもゲリラに囚われてしまった約束の時間は刻一刻と迫る部下を犬死にさせるわけにはいかないなんとか脱出せねば次回機動戦士ガンダム第 08MS 招待信頼へのタイムリミット
I guess also another thing that I keep forgetting is the element that this only has 12 episodes.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
In my
felt
memory,
very
it's so much
long.
longer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to power through this pretty quickly. I mean, obviously not today,
Yeah.
since we're only going to do half the number of episodes, but if we were doing 2 at a time, well, technically, we did 1 last time, right? So 1 this
Mhm.
time, so effectively the last 2 weeks together is 1. So
Yeah.
5 more weeks, and we'll be done. Well,
Mm-hmm.
technically not, actually 6 weeks, because we also have the Miller's Report and Battle in 3 Dimensions. But I think Battle in 3 Dimensions is like 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. So again, another solid episode. I like the fact that they made a point, which in Gundam they sort of did, but not too much. That combat in the ground is definitely different from space, right? That he's good in space, we shouldn't, but that doesn't necessarily translate to on the ground. And that even the guy who has many kills, when he's using a Gundam instead of a GM, he can tell the difference, right? Oh, so this is a Gundam, right? It doesn't behave the same way, right, as a GM.
I don't know. I remember I remember hearing the argument all the time: who would win in a fight, Zex Marquise or Char Aznable? And it would always come down to, well, where's the fight happen? You know, if it's in space, Char wins. If it's on the ground, Zex wins.
Mm-hmm. Zex always wins.
Well, he's better. I always point out, again, the very first appearance Zex wins. I mean, you're saying you're making some other joke, but the very first appearance that Zex makes, he parachutes out in his Leo, you know, a ground mobile suit, but he's in a parachute, and he defeats a Gundam, essentially. Like, you know, he gets into a bear hug, a hero can't do a goddamn thing against him, and he's like, I've won. And he parachutes himself out of the Leo to self-destruct.
Yeah.
Like, the dude beats a Gundam in an aerial fight with a ground unit.
Yeah.
What is the last cool thing Char has done? That didn't involve him killing somebody on his own team.
Yeah. Not much, really.
That's what I'm saying. It's very hard for me to realize, at least at this point of storyline, why Char gets all these big ups from the fan base, because he's just a cooler looking Xeon guy, but he's not even a good one. Like, I can't, as I said all throughout OG Gundam, McQueeve is the guy who's good.
Well, the thing, though, is I also like the fact that they very much took the Vietnam era, because OG Gundam is very much based on World War II up to a point. A lot of World War II cues, visually speaking, you know, in space, but, you know, here is very much Vietnam era. You know, the huts, the way that the people dress and act, and weapons use and that sort of thing. Although we saw M60s in Igloo as well. Like, you know, we had a what was his name? A Federation soldier just manhandling an M60. You know, single handling, but still. You know, I like the way they change things. I also always love the idea of using the ground sonar to track targets, right? And stuff like that. So,
pretty sure it's a seismograph.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I don't think it's ground sonar is a thing. I think it's just a seismograph.
No, ground sonar is a thing. This was a seismograph, not a ground sonar, because it's saying this is passive and not active. But
that's what I'm saying. I don't think ground sonar is an actual thing, though. So I'm disagreeing with you on. I mean, it's very easy to figure out without having a 30-minute debate like we normally do.
Yeah.
Ground penetrating radar. Which is not sonar, because sonar and radar are different things. Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna say we both take an L on this one, because I didn't think this existed either. And you were still wrong. So, fair enough, I guess. I would just assume that you would only find a bunch of rocks with that, but
no, because different materials give you different returns on the radar. And
but essentially it's still reflecting audio frequencies, and I would assume that just a bunch of different layers of rock would give you, like, obviously maybe you could pass this through dirt, but the moment you start hitting rock and shit, you would only get to that deep. Because obviously the frequency is not going to pass through the rock; it's going to reflect off the rock, and that's what you're hearing, or that's what you're getting your visualization from. So, you know, any layer that has a lot of rock debris, like if you ever hear about having to dig like a 60-meter hole straight down, and eventually you get to a level where you just got to start breaking rock, that you're only going to get so deep.
I mean, there's a borehole in Russia that's the deepest that is, I think it's a kilometer down.
Mm-hmm. We've all heard about the borehole in Russia and how they had to stop because it gets too fucking hot, and they didn't have the technical material to go as far down as they want. It's also capped now because, you know, you would want to leave that thing open. People would kill themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's one way to cap a borehole, I guess. Human bodies.
But yeah, obviously, though, seismograph, because ground ground radar wouldn't do anything to help you here.
Yeah, no.
Not unless they were digging under you, which possible, but not likely.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, maybe that should have been the armored mobile armor. Sorry, it's good thing. Maybe that should be the mobile armor that they actually went with, just a giant boring device like that thing from the core.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They wouldn't see it coming. Well, maybe they seismographed, but that would really fuck up that guy's job. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's an army of Zakus? I don't know. What am I hearing?
Yeah. Whatever it is, it's big and it's coming this way.
I mean, yeah, maybe. Underground carrier? Like, literally the core thing. You just pop up in the middle of their base, the thing pops open like some sort of World of Warcraft raid boss, and Zakus just pour out in the middle of your base.
Yeah. You have to secure the place where it launches, otherwise somebody could just sneak behind it and come and fire down the back.
Depends on how fast it moves.
Not very
Also,
fast, though.
I mean, really, we'll only need to armor the two ends of it.
Mm-hmm.
The back end, in case somebody does come up behind you, but I'm assuming it wouldn't happen because probably what's happening is you're not digging a solid tunnel. You're digging a tunnel that's collapsing behind you and you're tracking your way through it. Tracks. I mean, it probably has tracks to push itself forwards. And then, because you're not doing like the channel, right?
Yeah, you're not saying supports behind you, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, so you probably don't even need somebody to. Yeah, I mean, you probably don't need to armor anything armored behind you. So.
Well, the problem with that is that you would see if you had an aerial view, you would see the collapsing terrain because
it'd be like a vole hole. If you ever had a yard with voles in it, you just have little lines. But at the same time, unless you like bunker busters, you might be ill prepared for this. You'd have to call in air support from somewhere else. Because we don't hear a lot about like Xeon underground bases, armored underground bases.
Mm-hmm.
A bunker buster is not something I think anyone's prepared for in this war. I don't think you can fire the random weird handheld Zaku destroying, rocket launchers at the ground and have it do anything.
I mean, what you would have to do is set up explosives in front of it, like dig a hole with enough explosives. The pressure of it would just, trap it and, send it even downward. So
but then the amount of time it would take you to dig ahead of it, it could probably change course. I mean, I don't know. It might be in the dark on this too. But then again, it might have its own seismograph, although that would be heavily interrupted by its own digging. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's a problem with this kind of equipment. It's slow and expensive and will be blind to its own, unless it stops, listens.
Yeah, I mean, it would be underground sub-warfare.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that Igloo 3, the underground war.
Although we did see in Seed a few Zakus on the water tunneling into the side of Ogoro Island, I think it is, and part of... but we didn't see where they came out. So
I mean, yeah, sure, but we saw that in OG Gundam too with Char's attack on Jaburo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that could be a thing, yeah.
I mean, literally the only people who do have underground bases is the Earth Federation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, any final thoughts?
No, just another good episode of the 8th MS team.
Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?